You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter.
Actually going to be speaking to a very special guest today. This is Jason. Sorry. So Jason, tell us what you do. You're an entrepreneur. You own your own company. Tell us all about that.
I do. Thank you for having me. I'm the owner of a janitorial residential company. It's Seasonal Home Care. We're a window and gutter cleaning company, primarily all residential, but we will accept commercial jobs as they come. Some associations and things like that where we do all the buildings for the gutter cleaning or power wash, some of the buildings and things like that. So we will take commercial jobs as they come, but it's primarily residential. We've been doing this since 2007 when I opened up my own company. It has not been easy. The initial years that we started, I was an owner-operator. So the difference is that I was literally working from 7:30 in the morning, going and doing my own jobs, coming home, sitting in front of a computer and a phone, and making my own phone calls and trying to book my own jobs, and then doing this all over every single day, Monday through Saturday. It's tough sometimes. People don't realize that you can go and open up your own company, but where are you going to get the customers from? Where are you going to, get the money the money that's coming in? How do you do that? It's a struggle. It definitely is. And I didn't realize that in the beginning, but thankfully we're still here. 15, 16 years later, and we're still going strong. So I'm blessed for that. And it hasn't been easy, but we're still here. We have over 25,000 repeat customers now. I don't have to go out and do the work anymore, thank goodness, because that was really taxing, to say the least. So I hire employees, technicians out in the field, independent contractors, employees here that do the marketing in-house for us, and we book our jobs. And we assign them to our technicians daily, Monday through Saturday, and they go on out and service our customers' homes.
Nice. So I can appreciate what you're saying about gaining customers, obtaining them, retaining them. And what people don't realize a lot of times, if they're an employee and they're not part of the process A to Z in business, and they just work in like one department in particular, like accounting or possibly sales or possibly customer service, the issue is momentum. So like when you first started, that is an issue, is when you spend a lot of time prospecting in business, and you're prospecting, and now you have clients, and then you service them. You servicing them personally as the owner takes away time from prospecting.
Correct.
Right? So
Absolutely.
your momentum, you lose the momentum.
Right? Yeah, and then you have to try to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
And that's taxing, and it's a hard thing to do. You always want to say, what do they say? Acquisition, retention over acquisition. So. You want to retain your customers. You want to keep your customers happy so that they continue to keep coming back.
For sure.
And then there's the other side, which is the acquisition, and that's obviously the more hard part about getting new customers and going about keeping those customers.
Yeah, for sure. And when you take a break to service the customers that you were prospecting last week, now you don't have any prospecting going on because you're servicing, and then you have to go back to prospecting so that you can service a new one, and it's just this vicious cycle of momentum that's needed.
Absolutely. Sure. And luckily for me and the service industry that we do is we have a lot of different services that we can offer, where we can offer each service to each one of our customers at different times of the season. So, primarily window and gutter cleaning are done in the spring and in fall. So they're going to need us twice a year. It is our service is kind of a luxury service. So if the customer wants to have their house power washed, or if they need the windows cleaned, they can choose whether it's in the budget or not. So when I say that it's a luxury service, people have to decide whether they need us or they just want us.
Okay, that makes sense for sure. So you've just told us about what your company is called, what you do. How long you've been in business, right? When you started it. And I have such an interest in your backstory, in how you came into doing this, what your history and your past is, because there's always a story behind every entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur is not easy. And if you stick it out and you enter that industry, there's a reason to enter an entrepreneurial journey, and there is always a tenacity that you have to stay doing it because it's hard. And so usually I find that it's always something, if you dig deep, about an entrepreneur that explains it all. So if you can take us back in time and let us know some of the things that your history has experienced.
You're absolutely right when it comes to reasoning. I have a background, a criminal background, and it's not something that I shy away from talking about because it is me and it's who I am. I've overcome that. But coming out of that and deciding to go out and get a job and being, pushed away or refused positions that I was perfectly, able to do, was one thing that was a big struggle for me, which was like, okay, well, I could go get a job here or I can get a job there. And it wasn't making any of the bills get paid. It needed more money. Obviously, that's a huge factor when it comes to opening a business. I worked for a company that did exactly what I do now. That's the first job that I've ever had in my entire life, was working for a telemarketing company, booking window and gutter cleaning jobs. It's the same position that I hire for year-round now. I did that for 2 years. I told the manager that I was tired and I don't want to do this anymore, so they didn't want to lose me. At that point, I was incredibly good at what I was doing. So they made me the dispatcher, and I started to dispatch to all the towns in the Chicagoland area. So I became very aware of where towns were and where my technicians lived. So I was able to get them their jobs where they, in the same area that they live in. I did that for 2 years, and I was just tired of that too. So I went to the manager and said, I would like to do something else in this company. And thank goodness that there was still, room for advancement, and there was no glass ceiling at that point for me. They made me the manager, and I was literally taking care of the whole office, the telemarketers in the back, and dealing with all their personalities and all their, everything that they need to do from their day-to-day positions. The technicians out in the field and the customers that were calling in, and everything was just kind of put on my shoulders, which was a blessing, because then it just kind of prepared me for where I was going, and that was to take the next step, because there was no other. At that point, there was a glass ceiling. I wasn't really going any higher than that. Where I was able to just say, listen, I think I can do this on my own. Little did I know how difficult that was going to be. Yeah. I left the company and opened my own company and became an owner-operator, and that's how I became who I am today. Took many years, but perseverance definitely paid off.
Okay. And there is also a segment of your life prior to that, which is your childhood,
Sure
which
is.
I think is very interesting. And I think it also is inspiring, because I think that I personally come from a childhood of domestic violence. So I had a period of time from when I was 11 years old until I was about 15, where there was a gentleman in our family's life who was a stepfather, and it took my mom about 4 years to get rid of him. And during those times, it was extremely hard. And so when I learned about your childhood and your history, I think there's a significance there, but also in why you have the tenacity you have, or the desire, to be independent and be an entrepreneur. But I also think it's an inspirational story for other young people who may have a similar childhood or home environment that you experienced. So I would love for you to share that with us.
Yeah. Another thing that I don't shy away from is my upbringing. It was not that great, to say the least. I grew up in Derby, Connecticut. Most people would think of Connecticut as being, a yuppity kind of area and place. Not too far from Yale. So being that the state is so small, it is known for the biggest heroin addiction in the country.
I did not know that.
It is.
Okay.
My father was a heroin addict. I found out about that very early on in life, 6 and 7 years old, where I had to fend for myself, learning to either jump into a trash can and or trash can and find cans so I can get money for food.
So you would sell the cans?
I would literally go to the store and deposit the cans, and they were 5 cents a can, and I would take that money and go eat. So I had to fend for myself very early on in life.
And Jason, where did you learn that? Like when you told me this story, I was like so amazed because I had no idea that that was happening in the world. I didn't know that people were giving money for cans.
Yeah.
But how did you learn that?
Well, you can just look on the top of any Coke can or any bottle. It says the refund amount for any deposit.
So you figured it out just by reading the can?
I did.
Nobody taught you this. You just figured it out.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Because you were 11? How old were you?
So I did this for years while my father was head into his addiction. My father made me lie for him to my whole entire family who did not live in the state. At that time, I was living directly with him. He made me lie to them to make it look like the situation was a lot better than what it was.
Okay.
And we lived with his father, which was my grandfather. And when he passed away, things got incredibly bad. The lights got turned off, the water got turned off. My dad went on, week binges where I would just be there, just floating. And that's when I really decided that I really needed to figure something out, and I decided to tell my family in the other state, in Illinois, as a matter of fact. And my mother flew right out here to get me. And that was
give me a time frame.
I was between like 6 to 7 years old to about 11 years old. That I was going through that for that many years.
Okay. So that's a lot. That is a lot.
That was a lot of time.
Yeah.
That was a lot of time for me. Upon coming out to Illinois, because I had to fend for myself so much, previously, I got involved with the wrong crowd. Obviously then I was in a situation here in Illinois with the gang populations out here were just so terrible. So I got influenced by the wrong people here, which again continued, the terrible situations.
Jason, can I ask some questions about that right there?
Sure.
Okay. So you're a male in Naperville, okay? And this was in your what? 12 now?
Yeah.
What are you at?
About 12.
12 years old, right? And I know, being a female, I know that it is so important growing up, especially in your impressionable years and your teenage years, to connect with a cousin, a sister, a mom, an aunt, somebody, okay? As a female, you look for somebody that's going to be your role model or your mentor or the older person, okay? That's going to guide you and has gone through the path that you're going through prior to you. And so I can only imagine, as a young man, you're here, you've been let down by your dad, you have no male figure, right? You didn't have an older brother, am I correct?
I do have an older brother.
You do, okay. Was he around at all during these times?
During my previous years, no. But when I came to Illinois, yes.
Okay, so your condition, though, you're in another state with no older brother.
Correct. Right?
Access to that brother, okay? So I can only imagine that the way that gangs operate, this is my assumption, okay, is that they probably prey and feed on young boys who are missing that father figure, older brother, stability, rock, that probably young boys really need. Do you agree with that?
I would have to absolutely agree with that.
Okay.
They give you the camaraderie that you're looking for. They give you your brotherhood. They give you things to keep you going. When you're in an impressionable time in your life like that, you need something, and that's missing. And that was missing for me. Didn't have any upbringing that was, directional. So I knew nothing. And my mother didn't really know what to do at that point with me. I was skipping school. I was not going to school. I was hanging out with the wrong people. At that point, I started doing drugs.
Okay.
And
Of course you did, because
yeah.
that's the circuit, right? And that's
yeah,
how they make money. Gangs usually will peddle narcotics. Am I correct?
that's correct.
So you have exposure to it, because if you're not peddling it, then you're using it. And it's usually hard to peddle it and not use it. Do you agree?
I would have to absolutely agree.
Okay. So the best entrepreneur of a gang is the person who can peddle it and not use it. Because mixing the two is not good business, right?
No.
So of course I'm being funny, and sarcastic here, but unfortunately, the point I'm making is when you start peddling it and then you're using it is when the disasters really start happening.
That's exactly what happened.
Mind and your body and your soul and your everything, right? So let's apply that to you.
That's exactly what happened in my life. Not only was I trying to sell drugs to make money, I was smoking them at the same time. And the drugs didn't just get put in my hand for free. So I would have to sell them, bring the money back to them. Yes, it was fronted to me first, because obviously I was a young man and did not really have any money to buy it and then try to sell it. And there was a time where I asked for more than I could handle, and I used it all. And then there was no money to pay for the drugs.
How common do you think that is?
What's that?
How common do you think that is?
That probably happens more often than anybody would think.
So now what do you do?
So
now you've used all the product, you owe money. Okay.
Now you resort to crime. You try to figure out ways to get the monies to pay them, and then it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. And at that point in my life, I really didn't care. I had gotten away with just about everything that I was doing anyway, so I didn't really care whether I was going to get caught or not. So I decided that I would rob my drug dealer.
Wow. Okay, because you have to report to somebody with that money that you don't have.
Correct.
Okay, so your solution is you're going to rob.
Yeah, I'm going to rob.
And you particularly robbed your drug dealer.
Correct.
Because you probably knew he had money.
Well, I knew he had money and I knew he had drugs.
Okay. Oh, so you wanted both?
I wanted both.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I took a couple of the people that I knew very, very well, which, I mean, how really well do you know people when you're 13 and 14 years old? Very impressionable and very, I don't know, stupid.
Okay.
So yeah, I went through a window at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, someone's home.
Someone's home.
And who was in the home?
His family, his wife, and all hell broke loose.
Okay.
Before I went in, I grabbed, you want to call it a stick, I guess, some kind of club. And when we were going through the kitchen, he came out, there was a struggle, and I hit him with the club.
Like a golf club?
No, like an axe handle.
Wow. Okay.
But it didn't have the metal piece on it.
Okay.
I think back to that now as an adult, and I thank God that didn't go a different way, where that he would have died or something like that, or if I would have died, he could have came out with a gun. Multiple different things.
Outcomes.
Could have, outcomes could have happened.
But in your mind, you were thinking, oh, I'm going to go in the middle of the night because they're all sleeping. No one's going to hear because they're going to be in a deep sleep. I'm going to take the money. I'm going to take the drugs. I'm going to be in and out, and it's going to be done. Yeah. That's what the plan was.
I mean, how child-minded is that? It's really, really ridiculous when you think of it as an adult, when the mentality going back. But yeah, that's how it was. I mean, there was no real mastermind plan to this. This was just come on, let's go get it and get out of there. But it didn't end up that way.
Were you under the influence?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was getting high every single day. I mean, but we're only talking about marijuana. Now, I'm not minimizing marijuana, but I am saying that I wasn't doing any harder drugs than that.
Okay. But it altered your state.
But it definitely did.
The way you were thinking and the speed of your thoughts and all of that
For
good
sure.
stuff, right? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So then what happened?
We ran out of there.
Okay.
We ran out of there, and we didn't get caught for about 3 weeks later.
Wow. So during that 3 weeks, did you think that you were
Oh,
in the
yeah.
clear?
No, I was I was scared. I was very scared. We were wearing masks. I mean, had a walkie-talkie. I mean, it was premeditated
Okay.
is the word that I was looking for, but it was not masterclass criminal here. It was juvenile stupidity. And when the detectives came and talked to me, I didn't know what to say, so I kind of incriminated myself.
Okay.
Ultimately, long story made short, is after going through court for a year, the state of Illinois charged me as an adult.
Okay.
They gave me juvenile life, which was 11 years, which I did 5.5, which I didn't get out until I was 21 years old.
So you went in at how old?
15.
15. You got it at 21.
I was 2 months before my 21st birthday.
So you did 6 years, essentially.
5.5.
5.5. Okay.
Mhm,
So you did
straight.
5.5 years, but you had 11. So
They gave me 50%.
50% for good
Right.
time. So good time served, they cut it in half.
Right.
Okay.
Anybody who knows better knows that a home invasion is a Class X felony. It's an 85% rule, and they give that to adults 95% of the time, 85%. At the time when I was being sentenced, I thought they were throwing the book at me. It took me a long time to realize and stop the resentment when I actually I was graced with
What you received.
yeah, I was definitely given mercy because I had 3 accounts of home invasion, 6 accounts of aggravated battery, 5 accounts of residential burglary, 2 accounts of mob action, unlawful use of weapons. They threw every kind of case at me they could to make it stick, because the home invasions were for 3 accounts were like for him and his wife and his daughter. The residential burglaries, I mean, they just added on. They tack it on as much as they can. And when I pleaded guilty, it was just 1 account of home invasion. But all those other cases, they follow you. Whenever your background is ran, those all come up. And then 1 account of home invasion is what you copped out for, what you pled guilty to. So yeah, that was a traumatizing experience to be having the judge sentence you to that much time. When you're 15 years old, you're almost getting the same amount of time as you are old.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took me about 2.5 years to realize that I got a break.
2.5 years.
Yeah, I got.
So you're now 23 years old ish, right?
No. I was 17 in prison.
In
prison.
Oh wow. Okay. So not when you got out.
No.
While you were in there, you
while
realized.
I was in there, it took me a long time of just being very resentful and being mad, and feeling like I've been like the book had been thrown at me, like I've been punished so terrible. Well, this is the first time I've ever had any kind of police contact. But it was a terrible, terrible thing that I did. This man went through hell. Him and his family are traumatized. They don't feel comfortable in their own home. You know what I mean? These things. This is supposed. Their home is their sanctuary. You know what I mean? This is where they should feel comfortable. I took that away from them, and I think about that all the time.
Okay.
But going through prison, coming out of prison, getting through it, has made me into a better man after I was able to realize that I'm not sure if I should say God, gave me exactly what I deserved to make me not turn that corner and go back to any kind of crime or, repetitious behavior moving forward in my life.
Because you learned your lesson.
I learned what I needed to learn.
You did not want to do that again.
I don't
go
ever
through that again.
Yeah, right. So what I'm saying is, like, I could have gotten maybe a better deal, but who knows if I would have gotten out and just felt like, oh well,
That wasn't a big deal.
yeah, that's not terrible.
Well, let me try this again.
Yeah, I went through
Yeah.
that. I could get, I could. That was not the case with me. I was like, okay, that's enough.
Yep.
I mean, that was a long time, but I feel like in my heart and what I needed was that much time to be able to say. And when I came out, I started having children and bettering my life and just becoming a better man in general.
Nice.
So those attributes are what brought me to being an entrepreneur in turn, because coming out of prison, trying to take care of a family, no one hires for those kind of positions for the money that you need
Yeah.
to be able to maintain that kind of a life and be able to take care of your family. And that's what gave me the will to do that.
And I understand, like, now while you're running your company, you try your best that if somebody is genuine and authentic and came from a similar situation, you try your best to help them.
I have
yeah.
always done that.
Yep. Which is really nice.
There-
You're like paying it forward almost.
Correct.
Yeah.
We have many convicts or parolees that come out of prison. Their probation officers help them try to find positions, and I've been called by probation officers to hire. Would you give this person a chance if they're out of prison? And I've been able to, when I was a manager at that company prior to me opening up my own shop, I've been able to make that decision without even consulting with the owner, because he trusted in me that I would make the right decisions, and I always have said yes. And that's actually happened twice while I was the manager over there. And good people could come through and out of that. I'm one of them to attest to it.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel compassionate
Yeah.
and able to do that. I hope that given the chance and opportunity, that these people would, reciprocate and do the right thing.
And that ties totally right back into my domino effect. It's important, I think, to have the appreciation when something is granted to you and allow for the next person to have that same opportunity. And
I agree with you 1,000,000%.
I loved your story. I loved when we talked about this. It just hit me very close to home. And there were so many portions of your journey that were very impressive to me and are very impactful. And the domino effect slogan is make an impact.
Yeah.
And so I love meeting people of impact. And I just thought every single layer of your story was very awesome. And I just thank you for being transparent with me prior to the interview. Thank you for sharing this with me, because a lot of the stuff you shared is super personal and people are very private about. Am I right? Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say that most people wouldn't feel comfortable.
100%.
But again, it's a journey, that we all have our own journeys that we deal with in life. I became comfortable with mine because I've overcome it. From a very young age, I've had struggle. I struggled. Not always because of myself, but again, overcoming is the way that I look at, becoming successful.
For sure. Well, thank you, Jason, so much. Is there anything that you want to add?
No, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fire